Oh, yeah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, finally, you all get to meet somebody who I've known for a little while, and you'll get to know today.
Bubba! Oh, yeah, Bubba. Rock and roll.
But first, we're going to kick off with a song of his, kind of his. It's his rearrangement of a track by Pete Johns. This is Summer.
Only the rain keeps me company, falling from high in the sky. Gray skies above and they're bringing me down. Walking the streets of my city, stumbling down every street, wondering when it will all start to change. And I wish it was summer, wish it was summer and I was okay. I wish it was summer again. Back to my place in the suburbs, storm clouds are still closing in, safe in my mind for an hour or two. And I pluck up my courage and step out the door. Maybe the rain ain't so bad, maybe it's all what you choose to believe. And I wish it was summer, wish it was summer and I was okay. I wish it was summer again. And I'm doing the best that I can, making the most of the time that I have, living one day at a time. And I'm happy to see you again, telling me everything's gonna be fine. You bring the light to me. And I'm thinking of summer and feeling okay. But I know that summer is gone. And I'm thinking of summer, thinking of sun at my heart, on my skin, thinking of summer again, again.
Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Jade, this is How to App on iOS, and that was Summer by Pete Johns and rearranged by today's guest of honour, Bubba, who's finally here. And I want to tell you a little bit of story about Bubba. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for being here. We'll say hello to you, about 30 minutes into the show. We'll do the roll call and all that stuff because we want to get down to business as usual. And I want to tell you a little bit of a journey about my interaction with Bubba. So I got to know Bubba from Pete's channel. And first I'm going to say this, Bubba is a massive, massive supporter of both Pete's channel and mine. And I can't even thank him enough for that, for the support he has given me personally on this channel. And I know Pete would say the exact same thing. So first I want to get that out of the way. He is an incredible human being. You're going to find that out today. He's an incredible artist, incredible pitch. No pressure, Bubba. Incredible pitch. I can see him laughing already. Also, he has a fantastic story to tell, a really beautiful, encouraging, amazing story, and I can't wait for you all to hear it because it is awe-inspiring, yeah? So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, tables and chairs, pull down your undies and show us your hairs. Welcome to the show, my friend and yours, Bubba. How you going, my friend?
Good day, all.
We got some applause for you there.
Yeah, already.
Oh, we've already got mic issues, man. Unplug it, plug it back in. Guys, I'll explain what's going on. So, you know what? Don't ever try and do interviews using an iPad using Safari because it's a horrible experience. Hey, welcome back.
Is it any better now?
That's much better. The sound we keep having sound issues and stuff like that, but we'll get through it, you know? But welcome to the show. How do you feel being exposed finally as here you are?
I'll tell you what, it's kind of, how should I say? I feel a little naked. As far as personal information and all that stuff goes, I've always been a little bit reluctant, but what the hell? I don't have any enemies that I know of, so come at me. Buy something.
Not yet. After this show, maybe. No, we're all good. So, look, let's just dive straight in because there's so much to talk about. I want to hit you with the first question I hit everybody with. Bubba, what does music mean?
Boy.
What does it mean to you? What does music mean to you?
Oh, mercy. It's redeeming. I don't know what I'd do without it, to be quite honest. I've been playing the guitar since about third grade, and if it was taken away from me, it'd be definitely punishment. The great thing about music is how it unites. I mean, there's just no question about that. I mean, a case in point right here. Look whom is watching and being part of the show and etc. I mean, it's just that's a pretty broad brush answer to a broad brush question, I guess. Right? It's my life, Jake.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, you've got a really interesting story too. And I'm guessing, I'm just going to put out there that music was such an integral part of has been such a part of your life. It's probably got you through some pretty tough times, yeah.
Oh, for certain. I found Pete's channel from a hospital bed. I had multiple surgeries, and anybody who's spent a lengthy time in the hospital understands that you're always looking for something. And there's a state of mind when you're in the bed where very little you want to, how should I say this? There's very little that will appease you at that moment. And naturally music and Pete's show. And the reason I went there to begin with was I was just doing some research on Garageband because I could do that from the bed. And I hadn't done a lot of music for several years because of life, I mean, family and whatnot. And I ended up climbing and hitching my wagon to Pete's show, and then I found Jade, and we've ended up being friends along with several other characters that I assume are watching.
So, and thanks, Tom. You've just reminded me. Look, I've got Tom Carrera's name up here on your thing. There's one thing I forgot to do last night, and it was to change the graphics, and it's too late to do it now. It takes me.
I don't care. I'll go by Tom.
Yeah, we'll just call you Tom, Dick, and Harry. How's that? You know, and what do I say on the show? Mistakes make you better, folks, and I make them all the time. So it is what it is. Last night it was a bit of a struggle. There's lots going on. So it was one thing I forgot. So that doesn't matter, really. So I want to ask you, do you recall the music that was growing up in your household when you were growing up, and how has it influenced you?
Oh, Mom was an Elvis fan. So the first song I ever tried to learn was "Love Me Tender." Just picking that out. And what else? My dad liked the Ventures. They liked Simon and Garfunkel. They liked Bob Dylan. It was pretty eclectic. We even had some Motown. What else? What else was on the hi-fi? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good summary. But then I had multiple family members that were into music, and I had an uncle who was into real heavy rock, like what they quoted the days called acid rock, which I get a kick out of, like Thin Lizzy and things along those lines. And I had another uncle who was really into folk, but he was very into Led Zeppelin too. So he was, and he's the one that I spent a lot of time with, playing and singing. And he was a tunesmith as well. He wrote a lot of songs. He's an attorney of all things. I spent almost every Saturday with him when I was growing up because my father worked on Saturdays at the family business, because when you're in a family business, you wear a lot of hats.
You sure do.
Paydays if everybody's paid on Friday. But what else? As far as, I didn't have a huge jazz influence growing up. It's just like my dad was so eclectic. Do you remember Columbia Record House? I'm sure some people do, where you would send a penny and you'd get a dozen 8-tracks, and then they'd send you one a month at some inflated price. If you forgot to send it back, they just charge you anyways. So that's what they were hoping for. Well, anyways, I remember my dad and his 74 GMC Jimmy had an 8-track player put in. I mean, it wasn't stock. This is tall cotton for the day. And he had, it was I remember that group of 8-tracks, Kiss Destroyer.
Nice.
Ohio Player Fire, Steve Miller Band. It was the one after Space Cowboy. I can't remember exactly which one. And then there was a soundtrack to, or it was a soundtrack to Live and Let Die with McCartney, and I wore that one. I wore that one out because you know how 4-tracks work, or 8-tracks work. You'd listen to a track, so there was no rewinding or going anywhere, but you could jump to sections, so to speak. Well, I had everything figured out to where I could listen to the other tracks until Live and Let Die started over, then hit the buttons to get to the beginning again. Yeah, we adapt as kids very well. What else was in there? Oh, and I think there was some, not Mantovani, but who did Pink Panther and Dance of the Baby Elephants. I mean, that was pretty eclectic, and that was just in that group of 8-tracks that he picked up. But I don't know. And then I started getting into some Pat Metheny and stuff like that a little bit later, and that was more on my own and with my buddies. And we couldn't play any of that in the high school bands or anything, but we liked to listen to it. We weren't speed heavy metal type people. We never really got into that, and nor did I.
So is all of this music, has it influenced what you create these days?
I have to say everything contributes, regardless of whether you're conscious of it or not. But I think the Simon and Garfunkel, the guitars, and some of his playing really got to me. I've always been a stickler for a 3-piece rock band and a 1-man coffee house show. I mean, and for some reason, especially with the coffee house shows, you know, it's two people in an elevator, one farts, everybody knows who did it. You know what I mean? So there's no secrets, no surprises.
Yeah, you can't hide.
No. And I enjoyed doing that. And I even enjoyed more doing a two-man show with another guitar player and singer, because there's so much more you can do. You can do harmony and have lead lines, essentially.
Do you want to unplug your headphone and plug it back in again?
Yeah.
We've got noise. We'll get around it, guys. I think everyone's probably hearing it out there, but and that's better. Now we're back, man.
Okay, I don't have to even unplug. I have to hit headset mic.
Ah, right. There we go. There's an easy fix. All right. So, do you remember the first album that you purchased and were given?
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other night. It has to be either Kiss Alive 2. And I remember my dad gave me Tusk. Do you remember that Fleetwood Mac album, that double album?
That's an awesome
He gave
album.
me that. That might have been a little bit later. Pablo Cruz. I can't remember the name of the album. What else did I buy album-wise? Naturally, The Wall. That was one of my first albums. And the Steve Martin album that had King Tut on it. I had that. I bought it for the song. Yeah, I don't know. He got me on Saturday Night Live. I was a big Saturday Night Live guy when I was probably too young to be watching it, but it's just the way it worked out. And as far as albums go, yeah, it's all that comes to mind directly. I do remember when I bought Van Halen's first album a couple days after it came out. And that rocked my world, other than it being tuned a quarter step down.
And what format were these on? This is my polite way of saying, how old are you? No, it's not real. I don't really want to know that, but it is. It always feels like when I'm asking this stuff, that's what it's saying.
I don't care. I'm 56.
Well, I actually wasn't asking. Man. So I'm guessing this is all on vinyl. Were you a cassette head? Did you like cassettes?
Then cassettes hit, and I probably have 800 different cassettes. They're all in garbage bags and racks and stuff. I don't know really what to do with them. I can't get rid of them. But
I think there's a lot of people in the exact same boat. I have an entire suitcase full of cassettes. Guys, in the chat, just let us know. Do you have an old bag sitting around full of cassettes that you look at and go, what the crap am I going to do with these things? Because I know I do. And you know what? A lot of them are 4-track tapes that I can't even put into a tape recorder because I don't have a...
I have that same problem.
Yeah. And have you seen the price of 4-track Tascam 4-tracks on eBay these days? Whoa.
Well, what I'm doing is I've got a pretty good network going right now, and I've got my feelers out for both a cassette and reel-to-reel 4-track, because I've got boxes of reel-to-reel 4-track stuff I did back in the 80s through early 90s before I got into MIDI. So I could resurrect probably 70, 80 tunes that weren't finished, but they were kind of finished, that I wrote with my best friend growing up, who's a federal judge now. He was the Bono type guy. He really dug the early U2, go ahead.
I saw a 4-track, a Tascam 4-track on eBay last week for 900 Australian dollars. I can buy an iPad for that.
I have a broken one somewhere around here, but I don't know how to fix it. I have a broken reel-to-reel and cassette 4-track. Both in there. The
majority of the problem with them that I think Tascam 4-tracks had was it's always something simple like an O-ring, or I think it's the belt. It's always the belt, yeah. And they're selling the belts. The belts are like half the price of the 4-tracks on eBay. They're like $400. It's ridiculous.
One of mine, my reel-to-reel has a drive motor that's bad. It's stupid.
What about the first gig that you went to, Bubba? I'm interested to know.
My very first gig, holy smokes, that was probably somewhere around my freshman or sophomore year in high school. We played a local high school dance. I mean, I played more high school dances than I took dates to, which was kind of a drag. But
that sucks.
we were the house band. The guy across the street the house that I grew up in, he was a drummer, and I took my silver tone or whatever guitar over there with my Heathkit amp, and we just jammed out and thought, well, hell, we got to start something. And next thing you know, we've got a bass player and a keyboard player on beat up old Rhodes, and we ended up playing 5-6 gigs a year. I mean, at that age, that's pretty cool. And to get paid, we played a lot more than that, not getting paid. But we were kind of the thing, so to speak.
All right, so I want to ask you about your schooling, and then we'll jump in and we'll play another song. So tell us about, was the recorder on one of the lists? I have to ask it. Was the recorder one of the things that you were forced to learn when you were at school, in early school? Did you ever
I went to Catholic schools, and they hardly did anything. I went to Catholic up until Catholic schools up until junior high. And the only thing they had for music then, and that was in the early 70s, the only thing in music, they'd whip out this song sheet with words on it that stapled different songs, and we'd just sing some songs and call it music. But then I remember when the recruitment people came from the junior high to test us on instruments. His name was, I'm not going to name drop, but he's gone. He was a major in the Marines, but he was in the Marine band. So he was pretty strict, I guess. Anyways, he told me I'd never play an instrument after I tried out.
Wow,
so,
what a fail that was.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, and I was a resilient kid. I didn't give a shit what he cared. But I did kind of want to try some of that stuff. So I was already playing the guitar at the time, which was kind of strange. And I probably didn't bring that up. And as far as any formal training, I think a gal tried to give me one lesson, and after lesson she said she couldn't teach me. So I didn't have any lessons until college.
Your mic's gone again too, unfortunately. Man, so you didn't have any lessons until after college. And
no, in college.
In college, right? So, and did you study any university or any? And did you study any? I want to know how, because I'm going to build up to getting to being, because we know you on Clubhouse. We hang out on Clubhouse. We've got to know you really well, and you've always got a guitar in your hand. You've probably almost got one right there, I reckon. And
only thing I've got next to me is a uke, so I'm not tempted.
Right, but you have an incredible knack of even hearing a song through the iPhone speaker on the Metalhead Hippie show. Someone's playing a song miles away, and you just go, "Yep, that's in the key of F sharp major," and just start noodling. How did you get proficient at being able to hear that?
I think repetition. I think just repetition, Jade. There is something in the hereditary in the family. My great-grandmother was a concert pianist for Victrola up in Madison, Wisconsin, and she had perfect pitch. I just have high-end relative. In other words, my tonal memory is really good, and so if I think of another song, that's what happens to me. I know the song, I know what key it's in. I hear that in another song. And I can add them together, or just usually, and a lot of times the note just pops in my head. I can hear chord voicings, like about any cowboy chord you play. I can tell you what it is, but I don't know whether I can pick up the pitch or it's just I know the voicings. Dave is always messing with me. Is Ivan here?
Yeah, Ivan's here. He wrote in. He's definitely here. Audible just called you the chord master,
I like chords.
which is
I like
Curtis.
chords.
That's Curtis. So yeah, you are the chord master. And Russ wrote, "Bubba decodes my chords for me." So there you go. Now you know. And Ivan wrote, "Bubba is you're beautiful." Settle down, Ivan. He's not grey yet. All right. We're giving away inside baseball there. So was it schooling as well? Like, you know, do you have any musical degrees? What's the deal? Like, I'm
Well,
interested in this.
okay. Just to put it together in a kind of a chronological. I ended up playing in jazz band in high school because they made an exception for me because I didn't play any. I wasn't a horn player, and they put me on the roster as a cymbal player. So, and I never played any.
Wow.
I never did any shows, but that got me into jazz band. And when I was done with, and I sang in choir all through junior high and high school as well. I was, believe it or not, I was the first tenor. And I got offered a scholarship to go to Bradley University, which is in Peoria, Illinois. It's a big engineering school. Basically, all Caterpillar people go there. Caterpillar, you know, the bigger heavy equipment. It's an engineering school. But they didn't offer me near enough because it was such an expensive school. I got the scholarship, but it wasn't anything worth. It was a pittance of a stipend, I should say. Then I decided to go to a different state school, which was that was a private school. I decided to go to a state school, which is Western Illinois University. And my freshman year, I didn't even have a guitar my first semester down there with me. And then here I come down the lobby one day, and here's this dude with a 12 string, and all these girls around and listening to him sing, and bing, boop, the light bulb went off. I got to get my guitar back here. And so I had an old Jade Dove, which is a concert body and everything. It was my first guitar. I paid $25 for it from one of my uncles. That was my third grade guitar. And brought that back and started doing a little serenading, as they say. And I happened into a friend of an acquaintance or whatever, needed money and had this Martin for sale for $250. So I jumped on that. Gave my dad a call. I said, "Dad, my dad trusted me on my judgment on prices for instruments and whatnot. You know, and my dad knew guitars kind of because his brothers played them and whatnot. And I ended up doing just doing the college lawn gig type thing, not pursuing any money or anything. But I kind of got popular, and I thought, and this progressed for about a year and a half, and then my junior year I took an intermediate guitar course with I just thought, oh, hell, I have an elective. I'll take this and see what it's all about. Well, I got in there and I just smoked everybody. I mean, I shouldn't have been there. And I got to know the prof, and she said, you know, because she kept challenging me, and I pretty much could accomplish what she was after. And I mean, it was nothing hard or anything, but for intermediate class, I was there. Well, she talked me into taking some lessons from her. So I started to take lessons from the university guitar prof, and she didn't really know what to do with me because I couldn't read a lick. I mean, I could read a chart. I mean, my whole life I'd been buying books, chord books, and with songs in them and following the chords with all the wrong ways to play them. And I took some lessons, and it got to the point where she had to find pieces that I'd never heard before in order to get me to concentrate on learning notes. Well, I got through, that was my beginning of my junior year. Well, by the by the beginning of next semester, I was enlisted in a whole bunch of music courses because she talked me into doing it. And I took everything from theory to diction to, I had private voice lessons naturally. I mean, with prof lessons, a couple of years of those. And, things like instrument repair. There's class upper strings, lower brass, upper brass. I took all those courses. One semester, I carried 21 hours. I don't know if anybody knows anything about arts departments. They have a lot of 1 hour courses that you get 1 hour of credit, but it's just as long as a 3 hour course. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And from that point, and that's when I started to get back into the jazz band too. And
before you want to fix your mic again before you continue with the jazz band, I'll hold the thought. Man, there we go.
Yay, nay?
Yeah, awesome. Jazz band, continue.
Okay. And jazz band, continue. I'm kind of hopping around. I'm kind of hopping around a little bit, but not too much. But before I got in the college, the university jazz bands, I created with some friends some rock bands, a couple rock bands. One was called Animal Language, which was we ended up playing some gigs, actually quite a few, because gigs in a college town are not as hard to find if you're in the sticks and whatnot, and you're always cheap. I mean, and an interesting story about the band that I was in called Animal Language. There's an annual festival at the university. I can't remember, it was the West Fest, I think is what it was called. And we had to win a competition to get main stage for West Fest. You know, they had a competition a week or two before. And our band ended up beating out, what was their name? Stabbing Westward. Have you ever heard of Stabbing Westward?
Damn straight I have.
Yeah. Well, we beat them in a competition to be on main stage. And because they were from that town. That band originates from the town, from Macomb, Illinois. And they didn't like us at all. And I had no idea who they were or anything, but we were automatic enemies because of that.
It's all right. I don't like
vying for the same gigs in town, and
I don't actually like their music anyway, so whatever.
I never really, I don't even remember what they sound like. I don't know, real keyboard oriented. I don't know. I don't remember, but I just thought that was kind of a neat anecdotal story. In fact, I forgot all about it until recently. I moved to the apartment up of my store, and I found a whole bunch of old newspaper clippings. And one of them was of that contest where we beat, and it says right in the headlines, beat out Stabbing Westward and a couple other bands to be on main stage. But that was fun. But that was before I got I quit doing rock bands when I started to go real heavy on jazz and coffee house. So it seemed like it became simpler to me too, because I didn't have to worry about being everybody's roadie, and I don't know, it's kind of a selfish way to put it, but I was the only music student in that band, so I kind of moved on, and a couple of those guys graduated. You know how it's so fluid with people when you're in a school situation. There's just people come and go. And let's see, jazz and coffee house. That's what I ended up basically finishing up doing while I was at the school. I played 4, sometimes 4 nights a week, and I did do some gigs for the university that my professor would get me, where I'd be like background music with a classical guitar, which was, I mean, it was a stipend. I'd get paid. Then I transitioned into grad school, which I ended up studying, getting a jazz pedagogy is the official name. degree, and ironically, it was the first one ever at the university because they created this. They just created this new study or new degree, and I already had most of the eggs in the basket. So what the hell? I just said I'll just finish this because I only had a few more hours, then I could have that degree, and I got that. And instead of going to my graduation, I decided to go fishing with my dad up in Wisconsin at my uncle's cabin. And then I come back to find out that they had this great big ceremony and a plaque for me and shit that I didn't know anything about. They gave it to me later, but I was supposed to be there at the graduation. And I wasn't. But anyways, on to grad school I go. Same university. I took some classes from like U of I and another JUCO around too, but most of my classes were at WIU, and I was approached about grad school by my guitar prof. She was head of music ed she was a music ed dean and the guitar player. Well, I ended up going auditioning with a cassette of songs that I'd already written with MIDI to the Theory and Comp guys, and I don't think they believed it was my stuff, you know. But what I had done is I had taken some pieces that I had them in undergrad theory classes that we did and worked with, and then I rearranged them, and I had those on my cassette too. So, because they weren't hip to MIDI at all. I mean, in our lab there at the university, we had a couple chained reel-to-reels, a TX, I think, but they were chained, so you kind of a fake 8-track. They had the most expensive and best piece of equipment. They had a great big old synclavier. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but you can look it up. It's basically one of the early multi-tracking keyboards, which had lots of timbres and those great big 8-inch discs that had timbres on them and stuff like that, and about 4 tape splicing stations. I methere that's the level of the level the university was at the time. And the ironic part was there's a jail, a prison about 60 miles away, and they had better equipment than the university, but that's a whole nother story.
That would make sense.
And
Your mic's gone again.
yeah,
so
I know.
Can we get your mic back? Sorry. But that just makes total sense. Yeah, it's much better. So, of course, the prison's got better gear than a school. Why would we bother investing in a school?
Well, that was part of my proposal I wrote. I used that as I wrote a proposal to get better equipment in the lab, and I used that as part of it. And we ended up getting some stuff. I mean, but we had a couple ARP Odysseys. I think they were just stuff like that. Well, I ended up. Oh, I got to backtrack a little bit. During undergrad, I bought a Mac Plus with a 20 meg hard drive and Performer, which was the state-of-art MIDI software used from a percussion prof, associate prof, and that's where my student loan went that year. Fortunately, I worked all through school. I mean, from gigging to setting up recordings for recitals and then recording them. I was kind of like a utility guy. I tuned 40 guitars before a class.
That's where it comes from.
Yeah, it's hard to summarize all the different things. Well, what I ended up doing is getting the graduate assistantship is what they called it then. I think they have a different name now for free ride through grad school, which comes with responsibilities. And one of my responsibilities was bringing the professors up to speed with MIDI. They had no idea what it was. And I was just hacking through it by myself, not knowing a hell of a whole lot either. And also coming from a printing background, my family business, and I worked in the publishing business as a kid, you know, if just binding books and doing all kinds of manual labor. Too, I was familiar, but I was also familiar with the computers that we had in the shop, which was basically one. I remember the first Mac we got, and we got rid of the old Copiograph, which, well, that's a whole nother story too. I ended up buying Finale, which is I talked my professor. I think she subsidized it for me, my guitar teacher, because it was $1,000 piece of software at the time. But what that was is music publishing software, which it was also like a DAW. So I think that was my first real experience, just being able to have the notes. Oh, by the way, all through this period of time, I'm picking up a little bit on the music reading thing. Not great, but I had to. Anyways, I got to teach the teachers, and they put up with me and my joking and whatnot. What else? Golly, what else?
Let's play a song. We'll come back. We'll talk a bit more about MIDI. We'll come back in a minute. Let's play a song. I've got a song queued up. It's called Dave's Guitar. Do you want to tell me a bit about it before I play it?
Oh, yeah. Dave likes to put up snippets of his jam sessions, and I do this I've done this to several people, you included, Jade. I'll steal your YouTube video, and then I'll layer it, rearrange it, and then, well, the first song you played is something like I did with Pete. I like to take people's themes and do a variation. But this was just a naked guitar piece that Dave put up with, I think he had a lot of like Black Hole or something, one of those crystalline, something like that. Well, I just slapped a bunch of stuff underneath it and in front and back and called it a day. And I actually, he told me he put it up there. It was about an hour and a half later, I threw it back at him. So I don't take a lot of time when I do these things, but I think they turn out all right.
Alrighty, let's play it. We'll be back shortly, guys, and then we'll say hello to you all and enjoy, relax. And this is just titled, like most of Bubba's songs, very simply, David's Guitar. All right, see you shortly. David's
Wanna
guitar.
keep up with the latest drink trends? Want to know the best bars, pubs,
What's
and
going on
venues
here? What's
near
going
you?
on?
Wanna
God, SoundCloud and their ridiculous ads, man. I fucking hate SoundCloud. So those of you who don't know, that was Ivan Idea is David. So there you go. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Let's say hello to everybody who's here because I haven't done the rounds yet. I'll try and scroll. So if you want your name yelled out, type something now, guys. I'm going to start reading right now. Russ8889, Thomas Christ, Patrick Chandler, Andy Goldsby, Christopher Rossi, SM Borthwick, Cy F, and good to see you. Auntie G, Kim Hardin Hudson, Michael Thompson, Gortium85, Midnight Bandit Music, Ed Zielinski, Black Covers, Tom Carraher, Joe and Barry Glenn. Who else do I see? Brad Example, Ivan Idea, Dan Eckberg. I saw Pete Johns was here earlier as well. Hugh Caldwell. Hello, Hugh. Thanks for typing in the chat, guys, so I can see your names. Lou Reality, I know Lou Reality's here as well. Kim Hardin Hudson, did I say Kim? So there's, what do we got? Guitar Shocker, hello to you. There's a whopping 28 people here. There was a few more earlier. So Tremor Bear is here as well too. Hello, Tremor Bear. Thank you all for hanging out with us and being here today. It's nice to have a good lot of people there. Thomas Christ, did I say you, Thomas? I should have. I think I've got most of you. If I did miss you, I'll try and peek over at the chat. So your journey with MIDI, because you were into it at an early stage where before, like these days, we take it for granted. MIDI's like, it's in an app for $2. You know, we have these amazing MIDI products.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, your mic's gone again. So if you want to just click it, yeah. Man, that mic. damn. Speaking of technology. There we are. So, yeah. Tell us about your MIDI journey.
My MIDI journey?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just by the seat of my pants. I bought a book somewhere. But there wasn't a lot of stuff, and I wasn't networked with. There was no internet, so this will bring it pretty much around to how you taught yourself. I mean, the manual to Performer was probably that thick, and I wasn't very savvy with all the jargon and whatnot, so it was kind of a bluff your way through it type situation. As long as you get a decent end product. It was interesting though, showing them all the different parameters of things that you can do, how much control you had over a piece of equipment. I think the keyboard I bought myself a D5, a Roland D5, because I couldn't afford a D10. I mean, that was the industry standard of the day. In fact, I have it. It's back over in my studio, back over here, studio section of my shop. And at the time I had, that's where you had the key disc too for Performer. So you had to have that disc in your machine in order, instead of a dongle, you had to have the key disc, and then you had a 20 meg hard drive to work with. And I'd drag my Mac Plus to the lab or wherever they wanted to meet, and we'd just have discussions, and they would take lots of notes. And they ended up writing a I want to say libretto syllabus. They ended up writing syllabuses and ended up them teaching the stuff and that was closer to the end of grad school. They what else? I remember, and that's about the time we started getting interactive CDs.
Yeah, right.
So they bought several of those, and they bought me a CD player, just a standalone CD player to plug into the Mac. And of all things, it was a faulty Macintosh CD player. I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with this thing. I'm thinking I'm the dumbass. I can't figure this out. Well, come to find out, it was a faulty piece of equipment. And anyway, then I finally got that going. And the one that stands out in my head was an interactive Mozart's 40th. Was it 40th? Yeah, it was Mozart's 40th. And it was an interactive where asked you to do stuff. I can't remember all the things, all the different. It was a learning tool that they wanted to bring on board for teaching. But I guess I was the front end filter that looked like a dumbass not being able to get a CD driver going. But anyways, no, it was all in a day's work, I guess. And at the same time, I was proctoring exams. I was teaching music appreciation, and it was mostly music appreciation was a prerequisite for an education degree and certification, just general ed. I mean, K6, K12, whatever. So it was just a classroom full of basically girls, and that was interesting. And I also did classroom guitar, which is a zoo. That's all I got to say. You think about it. You've got 40 people. It's exaggerating. 35 at the most, maybe some nights. I had 40 guitars ready to go. I had this great big cart that I tuned every guitar before every class. And prior to me teaching that classroom, I had to tune those guitars for the prof that I studied under too. So that was nothing new for me. But that's, and there's a funny story with that. I ended up buying, I think it was 46 or 7 guitars for the university. They put me in procurement because they trusted my judgment on classical guitars and decent price. Well, I ended up buying a whole fleet of them, of Fender 170Cs, which I think they still make them. And I ended up being able to get one for free. So I got the pick of the fleet. I picked the best one out of all of them for myself. And I still have that. It's sitting in my window with a Willie Nelson hole almost worn out on it. But I know I'm all over the place, but I don't know what better way to do my timeline here, because so much overlaps. So much overlaps.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to steer you in the next direction. I want to talk about health because it's how we met. And there's, and I think a commonality with a lot of people from around these communities is that there's many of us who, have faced some pretty hellish health issues, and you are absolutely one of those people. So, what exactly went down? Because it seems like life was happening, things were okay, and then all of a sudden, bang, you're facing a very, very life-threatening illness. Tell us what happened, my friend. Hang on. Before you go, your mic's gone again, so we'll fix that because I want to hear this. And even though I've heard it, I know the story.
All good? All good now?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
I went for a colonoscopy, and I was halfway out, they were getting ready to do it. And then next thing you know, I've got this terrible pain, and they're wheeling me on a gurney down to X-ray. And after the X-ray, they figured I had 2 what you call strictures, which is like having a rubber band around your intestine. In other words, your intestines float. I mean, they expand and contract. Well, I had 2 spots where it wouldn't. It's like it had rubber bands around them, about an 8-inch length, and there was tumors inside. So I think 2 days later, I was under the knife, and they took that section out and put it back together, and I woke up and I had a bag on me, which they never gave me any news about that ahead of time, and found out things didn't go as well as they expected. But time went by, and I couldn't do anything. I mean, they laid me open from pelvic bone all the way up to my sternum. And then there was a 6-month window, and I went in to get the bag, get reconnected, get my plumbing back together. Well, I woke up from that one, and the bag was still there. Well, they couldn't do anything because I had too much scar tissue, which they said I was all fried inside, which was a nice thing for your doctor to tell you, your surgeon.
Yeah, what a prick.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is fried? Well, I evidently had scar tissue.
Right.
That's some type of thing to do with scar tissue. Up the bag still there, and he closed me back up and said he couldn't do anything more. So I had to wait another 6 months and go to a specialist. And you know how doctors don't say anything bad about the other doctors, but you can read them?
Yeah, doctors.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
They're shit poker players, doctors. I swear to God.
Yeah, they are shit poker players. Anyways, I ended up under the knife with that doctor. Well, he got me reconnected here. Then I woke up. No, I hadn't even got there yet. Yeah, the specialist went in to fix what the original surgeon did. Well, he reconnected me, and I woke up with an ileostomy, a bag on the other side.
Oh my God.
And come to find out, he cut my ureter during the surgery too. And your ureter is what connects your kidneys to your bladder. You
Yeah.
have two of them. Well, he cut one of mine.
Whoops.
And I had to have I don't want to get too graphic, but I had to have a catheter for quite a while.
Yeah. Hardcore.
And let's see, then after that surgery, no, that was a surgery that I ended up, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks and just tubes, no food, all that stuff. And then I got home from that surgery, and about 4 days later, I woke up and I couldn't straighten out. I was in bed. My whole left side was just locked up. Well, I developed sepsis from that surgery. So I went to the local hospital, and they had a hard time stabilizing me. They couldn't work on me in my local hospital, but they had a hell of a time stabilizing me for my helicopter ride to Peoria, Illinois, where my specialist was. And I remember parts of that. I remember watching the clouds go by, flying down the Illinois River. I knew where I was, and I remember landing on the roof, and here's like 6 doctors right there, and they get me in this foyer. And I remember saying to this one pretty doctor that had the same name as my daughter, I remember saying to her, I was all whacked out on Demerol,
And
not Demerol, but
you do like the
fentanyl,
pretty
but-
ladies as well too. I do.
Well, yeah. I remember saying I'm a lot more fun at parties. I do what that. But she knew I was whacked. I didn't get a rise out of her. I remember that.
You didn't get her phone number.
No, I didn't. But that was another 2 weeks though in the hospital. They never figured out where the leak was. Evidently it sealed itself, but for 2 weeks then they put me on this big bag of food, intravenous food, and I had a PCM machine where I just load myself with. They had me on morphine. For that, and it's just been a rough road, dude. Been a rough road.
Yeah, I remember.
Then a year after that, and you and numerous people here were with me through part of this. My song Timber Song was 2 years ago when the sepsis thing happened.
Yeah, you want to fix
That
your mic?
surgery.
Quickly? You want to just fix your mic? Sorry. Yeah, so I remember that. So it was Song Timber, and that's when you went sepsis, and you were still with us, man. All this was going on, and you were with me and Pete. You were in the chat. You were fucking making music.
Solace and music.
Yeah.
And then about a year, they wanted to make sure I was really healed up, I guess. But a year after that, I finally they got rid of they reconnected me. See, an ileostomy is you're cut off at your upper intestine, and the other one's the opposite. Anyways, I got that fixed. And I had 14 hernias from scar tissue and all around my gut, because I have two big holes and it looks like a canyon going down the middle of my belly. But they put an 8x10 sheet of like Kevlar or something, some type of in my lining of my stomach, so to keep the hernias from bothering me or whatever. But that's pretty much where I am now. Then it's been a long road back to standing up with a guitar up against my gut.
Yeah,
that's one of the most irritating things I have, believe it or not. And just up until like the last probably 6 months, I've been able to try to lift stuff. I was on a 15-pound forever, and they said, well, maybe 50. But that's up to you. If you overdo it, you'll know. And yeah, that's like teaching somebody to swim, throw them in. You know what I mean?
You'll fucking know.
Yeah, you'll know it. But then my last surgery was September of 2020. I was like, screw this bug.
Yeah, I remember.
I can't be like this anymore. And they took me, the worst part about having a surgery during COVID is I couldn't see any of the nurses' faces. Well, but the thing is, not that way. Well, that way.
No, not that way. Not that way. It's the other way. It's the other way.
It was like a different nurse every time they came in. You know what I mean? I don't know. And here I'm all jacked up on morphine. So, well.
Man, you blow me away because you are absolutely inspiring. I remember, things were touch and go, man. And you're a tough guy, right? You're a pretty tough guy. I don't know how you let your emotions out too often, but I knowing you not, we weren't speaking and hearing voices back then. It was all text, and over the last year and a bit, we've been on Clubhouse and we've got to hear each other's voices and got to know each other even better. And it's just very inspiring for even someone like me who's dealt with, a lot of health issues too. You've inspired me to see where you are now. It's amazing. You blow me away. You really do blow me away.
I hit the ground running.
Yeah. It's.
I think I told you that a while back. I think I surprised a couple of you in the clubhouse, and I just said I hit the ground running.
Well, I always knew you were a fighter, but it's sometimes even the strongest fighters, they can get taken down. Talking about doctors, I remember I saw a doctor after my surgery and stuff, and I seriously had a doctor sit down to me and say, I hope, and this was the way he tried to tell me that he thought I was going to die. He said, because they're shit poker players, man. He fully just said, I hope you've got your affairs in order. And I was like, what the fuck's that, man? What are you talking about? Are you telling me I'm going to die? And he said, I just think you should have your everything in order. And, I literally stupidly went home and believed that motherfucker. And I started to die. And it was the worst thing for a doctor to tell me. And it took me to actually just cash in some of my retirement money, go to the US and see some better doctors who said, well, you're not going to die, but we can't fix what's wrong with you. So just keep fighting. There you go. And
that was Mayo's, right? That was Mayo's.
Yeah, and they just said thanks for all the money as well, because no insurance in America. And they said thanks for all that money. Goodbye. One session. See ya. But hey, it is what it is.
Speaking of which, I'm probably about $800K into doctors' bills and surgeries.
Oh man, yeah. Look, we won't get political. It's I damn wish you guys had the same kind of healthcare that we have here, because I got all my stuff done for nothing. It's an amazing difference. But I'm gonna play a song and then we'll come back. I'm gonna play Yellow. Do you want to tell us a bit about this before I play it?
I did this right at the beginning of the lockdowns for it's called, I'm not going to drop the name. It's a underprivileged children's, when I say children, it's 5th grade through, I think, 20-ish, and not older than 21. But it's like a food pantry, gathering place, safe space That's a couple nights a week, and it's on my same block. I have a park right out in front of my place. Well, they're on Main Street. I can almost throw a rock and hit the building from here. But anyways, it was hard to tell all the people that really rely on the place. I mean, there's amazing how many kids rely on the place. You'll have 100, 150 a night. But we had to shut it down, and I was asked to. No, I volunteered. They were going to do a video about shut down. They wanted a bunch of the people that volunteered to say something. I said, well, we can put a loop on it, and this is what I did.
Awesome. All right, you can fix your mic during the song because it's gone again, typical. And we'll see you back shortly, guys. This is called Yellow. Enjoy this track. Boom.
That's not a how do they say it? It's not a go slap your mama track. It's just a utilitarian. It was a utilitarian underneath dialogue and whatnot. It worked.
A go slap your mama track. What would you class a go slap your mama track? So like Metallica.
Probably, yeah.
So one thing I want to ask is all your music. So if we have a look here, all your music is sitting here on SoundCloud. Now I hate SoundCloud; it's horrible because are you going to get to a point where you release some music?
Yeah. Well, Yellow is SoundCloud is my sketch pad. What is there? 70 some? There's 77 cuts up there, and they're all done in GarageBand.
Yep.
Every single one of them, and that's where I started using GarageBand
on iOS.
This is the origin of me using. In fact, my first GarageBand song is on my SoundCloud, and it was all freehand. It was when I bought. What's the string app that you and I used early on? You know what I mean?
iSymphonic.
Yes, I bought that, and I was trying to track with that, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I looked into the free DAW, and I started using that with GarageBand, and that song is on there. And I named it my first I found my first GarageBand song, and it's just ad libbing.
I've got to find it now.
But
keep going. I'll find it. It's got to be right at the bottom of the list.
No, it's somewhere in the middle. I can't remember because I found it. But that's all GarageBand, just trying to get the most out of it, and sketches and some of the stuff. There's very little I finished. There is a Yellow. I created a suite for CMYK because I come from the printing background and whatnot. And I have the 4, but I need to develop them and then put them on an album. I have a concept already for a cover and this stuff, but I just have to. I've got to get my store going first. And everything I do, I don't spend a ton of time. I don't admire my work. I do something, slap it down, and don't worry about everything's lined up perfectly, because this is my sketch pad. That's I don't like that. And then I lose the creative when I start tying myself in a knot on getting this note in this spot, and etc. So you could interpret it as lazy, or you could interpret it as calculated. Either way, but that's how I do it. I'm not looking for glory. I think you figured that out.
Who is looking for glory? If you're looking for glory, give up. There's no glory left in this world. I'll tell you that. We're in a strange world at the moment. So you came. How did you come across Pete Johns? I'm interested to know that origin story, because that's how I found you, or you found me, or we found each other.
Well, I was in one of those 2-week stints in the hospital,
right,
with my iPad and messing with GarageBand, and I thought, well, how I can't even. I don't recall the exact problem I had or tip I was looking for. It might have been automation, but anyways, that's how I stumbled upon Pete, and that was like, I want to say 2.5 years ago.
It's funny. Most of us found Pete with a problem. Yeah. It's like, I've got a problem and I'm going to search YouTube and who's this funny little man here? Studio Live today. Who is this funny little man? And
I thought he was worked for Apple.
It kind of does. Oh, your mic's gone again. So it's amazing. They actually sent him a MacBook finally. You know, after all the hard work he's put in, they finally sent him some gear. But he did have to sign his entire life away, I think. So.
and with an option to give it back, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't think they're going to ask for it back. Why would you ask for a laptop back after a year and a half? What are they going to do with it? Refurbish it? Give it to someone else?
Yeah, how about it? Yeah. Probably.
I think they're just going to give it to him because he's a lovable guy.
How about it? I'll vouch for him.
If you're watching Apple, just give it to him, you misers. Hi Seth, who's joined the chat as well. I think I saw Hippie here, but he had to leave. So anyone else I've missed, welcome along. Thanks for hanging out with us today. So you're creating music in the hospital on GarageBand. Dude, I've been there myself. I know exactly how you feel. When I was in hospital, I was making songs as well. I was making songs on my iPad when I was homeless, living in a park using the Wi-Fi from the local council. It's an amazing tool. You know, how do you see the iPad being a music creation thing, coming from a MIDI background when MIDI was first starting out? You know,
well, what was big for me was being able to incorporate. See, I came from the 4-track background. And then MIDI, but there was no way to marry them really, because you couldn't trigger, at least with what I had. Yep. I mean, I think you could have sync tracks and all that stuff, but I just never did. So the neat thing about what I found with GarageBand, and it was that period that long between me getting back into trying to put stuff down on the computer, was the fact that you could marry WAV files with MIDI files in the same setting. I mean, that sounds like people that haven't even been alive as long as that's been available. But that was a big deal for me. And as far as GB goes, GarageBand, I mean, I have Cubase. Before I got GarageBand, I entered the Fruity Loops mobile beta tester thing, and that's junk. At least, I mean, it's not junk, but I didn't catch on to it really fast enough. And I keep going back to GarageBand, because we got to remember it's a wave. It's going to be a MIDI file or a WAV file. It's that same WAV file, no matter what DAW you put it in.
Yep. Yeah.
So whatever serves your purpose. I mean, yeah, you can get Logic, and you can get what's the other one? Pro Tools or whatever, that can do 1,000 things that you'll only scratch the surface unless you make a career out of it. why not just start with something that's easy to use and poke and hope, you know?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the iPad has its limitations, definitely, things like GarageBand. But no matter what, I think even if you are using a Mac or a PC and you're using software that costs so much more, there's still always going to be a workaround needed for things. You know what I mean? Everything has its limitations, and not everything is perfect because perfection doesn't exist. So you're never going to find it in a particular door. I see a lot of people on Facebook forums and stuff saying, "What's the best door?" And it's like, the best door is the one that you like. Like, if you're sitting there listening to people saying, "Well, you tell me what's the best one," then really, are you experiencing making music, or are you just trying to conform to what other people are telling you, you know? So GarageBand definitely has a very important place for a lot of people, and it's not a toy, man. It's not a toy.
But, and case in point, then I delved into Pete's music that was produced with this piece of equipment, and I was like, holy smokes. I don't need anything else. And your stuff too, a little bit, not that long after. I can't remember how much longer after, but it wasn't very long. It wasn't very long after I connected with Pete. I connected with you. And Russ has been there seemingly forever too. Jelly's the rookie in the crowd.
Jelly boy.
And Tom and TC.
TC's been here since the start of TC's been around.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
He's been around forever, TC. And now TC's kicking it with his own channel, you know, and his own music, and it's amazing to see.
I was in on TC's very first show. I think I was one of 2 people there. 3 people.
Yeah, I think I was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, have you considered, I mean, I just touched on it before, about releasing music? Because at the moment you're starting to, I can see on your SoundCloud, you're doing little pieces with Dave's music, and you do take people's music and add little bits to it, your own flavors. I really want to see you like release some music. Can we force you to say like by the end?
No. Hey, that part of getting my place going here is to be able to build my studio.
Yeah.
Whereas the way I lived before, I had to grab bits and pieces that are scattered everywhere, and then I got to tear it down. And it's the comfort of having. I'm longing for and getting to the place where I can have a spot where I can sit down, turn stuff on, create, turn it off, and not have to worry about moving anything, or just everything's at an arm's length or on a wall, or, you know, I can cheat too. I mean, I got Bubba's Emporium, as you put it, with some derogatory middle word that we can't remember. Bubba's Brand.
I know, man. I can't
remember what it was.
I can't remember either. Can you fix your mic again? I'll say hello to Deep Gravity. What's going on, my friend? Good to see you. So let's talk about your store. So this blows me away. I remember you telling me you were in Clubhouse and you were like, "Hey, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to get this building. It's really old building. And I'm going to create a music store." And I was like, "What the fuck? Really?"
Another internet bullshitter.
No, I didn't think it was bullshit at all. I was just like, dude, like only a couple of years ago, man, you were fucking in hospital and like, thought you were going to die or something, you know, shit was fucking bad. And now here you are, you're going to open a music store, and just watching the journey of you get the store and see it inside. You know, we've been really privileged on Clubhouse, being a close friend, seeing this all happen. I'm going to bring up the Facebook page of it now. And you want to tell us about, you know, what gave you the idea to do it? Why do you want to do this? Tell us.
Well, I'm in a place now where my location is basically the hub to several big cities. And you can't get stuff out here. I mean, you can do the Amazon thing, but Amazon doesn't pay taxes for the park that's out front of my place here. Nor do they put the strings on your guitar for a nominal fee. But I want to get back into teaching. That's what I'm best at, believe it or not. That's why I don't spend a shitload of time, because you spend enough time with me to know.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, try this, or did you try this? Did you mean to do this, etc. But that's just a teacher, not an asshole coming out. You know what I mean? I think I've told you that before. That's a teacher. That's a teacher for you. But and I worked out a deal with some distributors, and I'm wholesaling some stuff, and I'm doing some estate stuff for consignment, and that's pretty much my gig right now. But the sooner I get everything lined out as far as my schedule goes, that will allow me to spend more time in the studio, because I wanted my studio right. See, I'm not going to have traffic in here 24/7. So, hey, I can be working and sitting in the studio until somebody walks in the front door. So I'm trying to double dip, so to speak.
So tell us about this building. This is a historic site. You've run the National Register of Historic Places. It's a beautiful, beautiful building.
My family bought it back in the 80s, late 80s, I think. Yeah, mid 80s for like $30,000.
Wow.
And it was a shell of itself. It was basically a shell. It's an old mercantile, because from that picture, if you look out the front door, if you're standing on that porch looking straight ahead, is the railroad.
Right.
I mean, it's not in this photograph. So this was a mercantile. This is where people dropped off stuff, and this is where things were sold. So it's built like a brick house.
Yeah, it looks like a safe house. Look at that road, man, too. Look at those pavers, man. It's sick.
Yeah. I've got an Amtrak station 100 yards away from me right here. So if anybody wants to take an Amtrak, we'll figure out where. I've got a hotel right next door, multiple bars, all that stuff. And what else? The building, the main part of the building, not the yellow part on the right. That's a big L that wraps around.
Right.
That was on the building when my mother purchased it. She's the one that did the renovation. I mean, her ideas, and my brother-in-law's back, etc. I mean, it's been a family thing forever. And she made it into an antique mall type scenario, and that closed with COVID. That closed with COVID, and it stayed closed, and we had a heck of a time getting people to come and get their stuff. That kind of slowed me down to a point, but my health didn't help any either. And just getting back into the swing of things now. Did I say this? I think it's 1858. This place was built.
Wow. And when
there's apartments upstairs, and I live in one of them.
Yep. Right. So when you first got this, we saw some videos of you like showing it to us, and I remember going, man, it looks like some grandma's old grandma's house. How is this going to turn into a guitar store? And look at this picture, guys. Look at how beautiful this guitar store is. Like, it looks nothing like, like these days you've got these modern guitar stores where you walk in and there's just rows of guitars everywhere and assholes who don't really give a shit about what you want. They're just looking for a commission. It feels really stale and gross. I can't stand the whole guitar store thing. But looking at this, man, that just looks like I want to go in there, play some guitars, have a Devonshire tea, and kick back and spend the afternoon in there. Is that the kind of vibe you're going with it?
That's the environment I've tried to create. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The more people in here, the better.
Yeah.
I had a soft open because they had a shrimp fest and craft beer festival in the park across the brick street from me here. That was June 1st. I had a soft open. I had like 7-8 people sitting in here strumming guitars and singing Pink Floyd, and it's just that's what it's all about. And that's how I'm networking too. My only social media, as you well know, is Facebook, and that I just created. I had Facebook right when it first came out. I think before there was even 1 million people on it, and then I pulled the plug on it right away.
Good move. If you want to fix your mic, If you want to fix your mic, I'll bring up the Facebook page while you're doing that. And thank you. Sorry again. There's a Facebook page. So yeah, continue. So you got out of Facebook and now you've had to come back.
Yeah. I preferred anonymity, but I figured, well, why not now? Go for it, as they say. And the page is only a couple weeks old, and I'm slowly just adding stuff to it. I'm going to eventually put some guitars that are for sale in there. I don't know whether I'm going to do marketplace. If I do marketplace, I'm going to do in-store only, just to get people to come here, because I'm not going to ship 2,000 guitars to somebody. I won't do that.
Yep. So the address is 24 West Long Street, Princeton, Illinois. If you're there, if you want to travel to the store, and you've got some beautiful guitars in the window and stuff. Like the way you have it set up is so lovely. I'm just going to bring back this view here, man. It just looks so nice. Just this whole.
That's my bench.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, man. It's such a nice setup. What's the idea behind it? Now you've got a whole bunch of stuff in the front window. I don't have photos of it, but I mean, you've got a whole lot of old guitars that are your guitars that you've collected over time there as well. So not everything's for sale, and I'm sure I'm sure there's going to be some people come in and look at some of that stuff and go, "Oh, I want that." You're going to be like, "Fuck off."
Well, everything's for sale, Jade.
All right, everything's for sale, even the stuff that's sentimental.
Well, it depends on how much you want to whip out.
Yeah, right.
but I have a lot of things like that Martin is sitting right back there. That's my triple aught 28 EC number 231. I'll never sell that. Yeah. I'll never sell that guitar.
Yeah,
that was one of the first. That's the first one of the first run of the Eric Clapton series, triple aught 28 Martins. That's priceless. Plus, it sounds incredible. I mean, I don't care how much a guitar costs. It's what it sounds like. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a $100 guitar or not. Like behind me, I've got a Fender Squier fretless jazz bass. It's only about $150 bass, but Jesus, it's a great instrument. And I don't know any more of the market. You've got the collectors and you've got the players.
Yeah.
Then you've got the kind of in-betweens. And I'd rather have the in-betweens and the players instead of the collectors, because you got a price on something. Oh, it's got this scratch here. Take $50 off. No.
Yeah.
We're not going there.
Yeah, it sounds like that. You're aiming the store at people who appreciate and want to play the fuck out of these things.
Well, I'm not going to make a whole lot of money selling stuff. It's my lessons are where it's cash flows, or it has to cash flow.
So, I'm curious to know, I know, but just for everybody else here, because how has the process been? Like setting up a store and finding distributors and doing all of that kind of business behind the scenes. Because, we're so used to these days. I know when I was in America, the first time I went to Guitar Center, I was just like, I needed to take some anxiety pills. It was so overwhelmed. There's so much in there. So, their method of importing stuff just must be robotic, like almost like Amazon. So what's it like for the little guy to source guitars and find the right things? How do you go about that?
Well, interestingly enough, I had a good mentor. He's a luthier, guitar shop owner that's about 35, 40 miles to the east of me. He is getting out of his retail side and just going to do luthier work and create his stringed instrument museum that he's been working on grants forever, and he's going to get the tourist crowd. And I've known the guy for 30 years. He's done all my guitar work, anything major, I should say, like changing bridges on an acoustic guitar or something. Anything where you have to actually use saws. I don't like using saws when working on a guitar. Anyways, he kind of pushed me towards this direction, and he knows we've had interactions through the years while he always calls me the professional when I go in there, because I always had suit and tie when I was going in there to buy a set of strings, because that's what I wore suit and tie for that many years. And he pushed me in. He nudged me, but he connected me with his distributors and gave a recommendation, a reference. That's the hardest part, is finding a reference.
Yep.
Because if you go blind dialing a PV for say, first thing they're going to want is they're going to want some kind of a financial, or if you're going in blind. But somebody like him who is established for 30 years with these distributors, if he gives a good word, he must have some pull. I don't know, because I haven't had to jump through hoops at all. The only thing I've had to do is get a three main documents, whereas my federal tax ID, my state tax ID, and business license through the city. And register your name. You have to register your name. That's a formality. I don't know if that's just Illinois, or Illinois has 1,000 ways to tax you. But
do you want to fix your mic? Sorry.
Yeah. No.
We can muddle through this and nobody else cares.
I know, we're getting through it. It's all about the content, not the mic.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, see, I've broken your train of thought. I'm sitting here waiting, going, no, I don't want to miss any of it.
Well, where was I? I don't even know where I was. I've got a train going by right now. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it, man. It's that. How's that when you're sleeping? Here we go.
I grew up in a house about 3 blocks from here, which was about the same distance from the tracks. So it's just, I'm numb to it.
Yeah.
I know the tritones of each train very well. I know the Amtrak train, and I know the freight trains. I know they have different sounds and stuff like that. Yeah, but
so basically,
no, we didn't even have air conditioning when I was a kid living down there, and I sleep with I had my head on a windowsill, and the train was behind me. I didn't pay any attention.
So what you're saying was, like, I guess it's really good to have people in the know, because it's been easy to source stuff, I guess, like anything, it's who you know that can help you get off the ground and get these things going. I mean, the store looks beautiful. So it's not officially opened yet, is it?
I had a soft open. I'm carrying hours. I'm 1 to 5 every day, except Sunday, 1 to 4. Yeah. But no, I haven't had my grand opening yet. I'm figuring on sometime in, I think, August. I'm trying to navigate the best route. Like we spoke, I told or you heard yesterday, I have painters. We have painters doing the front, doing that front porch completely over, and I have a deck on the off my apartment with a long run of steps. That's all being painted. It's just normal maintenance. I mean, it's pretty incredible how much maintenance there is on a big old building like this.
Yeah, look, it's incredible the amount of time it's taken you to actually get it filled and have it happening. It's mind blowing, man. I just thought it was going to be monumental effort.
I got things rolling pretty fast. Kind of surprised myself.
You don't fuck around. You're Bubba.
No, I don't.
No, I'm going to play another song, and then we'll come back. I'm going to ask you about some of your favorite apps and stuff like that. We'll talk a bit more about the store as well. And folks, we've got Pete Johns coming up directly after this show. So if you're watching here and you want to go over to Pete's show, once the show ends, and if you've got your auto play set on your YouTube, you will get automatically and totally
dumped over to Pete's show.
You'll get dumped over there immediately after. The YouTube algorithm will send you over. He's got his Creator Town Hall happening. And then after that, Ron Ward has his usual suspects playing his music show. I forget what it's called today. Is it Ron Reddy? One of them. I don't know. He's got so many names. Indie Music Live. But we're going to play a track right now. And I'm going to play another Saturday afternoon. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
My daughter... basically the love of my life. And she's the best. She's 22, and she's been with me through all of this medical stuff. In fact, to hear her tell a story about her driving down the river road, trying to keep up with the helicopter to go to the hospital. I mean, it's crazy. But anyways, back to the song. The song, she got a German Shepherd pup was, I think it was abused or something, because it had definite issues. She got it about 6 months. And she had it in her apartment at college. And well, she got up one morning and the dog was barely a year old. She hadn't had it that long. No, it was a year and a half old. She'd had it long enough to really be attached, like we tend to do with the dog in a week. It died in its sleep. And she was crushed. So what did Dad do? I had to do what I do best, is create a little tune for her and a note, and just say, you got to, it's part of life. Comes at you fast. But anyways, that's pretty much it.
Beautiful. Let's play this now. This is called Another Saturday Afternoon 2.0. So kick back, folks, enjoy, and we'll see you back here very, very shortly, within a few minutes. Boom. Let's do it. If I got everything set, I think I'm good. Let's go.
Want to keep up with the latest game trends?
Got to get the applause in.
Wrong song, but no big deal.
Was that the wrong song?
The following Sunday.
Oh, that was. I said that was. So that was Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The one I did for my daughter's the following.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because I was going to end with that. So there we go. And you might.
Well, at least I didn't give this emotional, drawn out, pre-plug.
What can you say? Your mic's gone again as well. It's all happening, man. It always happens on this show. It's chaos.
Are we good now?
Yeah, you're always good as soon as you fix it. The lesson is, guys, when you come on the show, don't use an iPad. Man, I really hope they do update the Safari issue with sound, because it's an issue. It definitely is. So, look, you're a master of many, many styles. It's very very impressive of the amount of styles that you play. Like, you know, I've been a big fan for a long time. So I want to ask you about apps. You've got someone calling you now. I love it.
And it's way over there, so I'm going to let it go.
I want to ask you about apps. Do you have any apps that you go to? Say 5 apps that I can bring up on the screen and show to people off the top of your head.
Well, off the top of my head, God, I love Mixbox.
You love Mixbox. What do you love about Mixbox?
Well, I like having everything in one spot, and I know it's a lot of people don't. That doesn't. It kind of defeats the purpose of how should I say it? Being adventurous, going to different developers and whatnot. So, well, I got the interface learned, understood, and I can pretty much build any rack that I want. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer for me. You can do anything with it. Lum beats, about anything lum beats. I wish they'd get iBassist a little better. And all this, Jade, all this is from prior to me having all my own instruments around me again. So that's, in other words, what is on my SoundCloud? There's very few live instruments. Because of my handicap was keeping me away from them. But I would come out and do some that you should be able to tell, or if you can't, even better. I do try to put at least something cameo into everything I create with a real instrument, and I want to get back to just all straight instruments. That's what I did. That's all. It's on my reel-to-reels and my 4-track cassettes, all my old stuff. That's just instruments. Oh, a drum machine. I did remember I bought an Alesis a little teeny drum machine when I was I think in first year or so of college, just so I'd have something for my recordings and sketches. What else do I use?
I do love the Lumbeat apps. I wish they were all had updates to their interfaces. Like they're coming. I know they are coming. So because not all of them work as
you definitely have to make them work for you.
You
definitely have to make them work for you.
I mean, they've got amazing sounds.
Absolutely. What they have added that I do like is the you can dump stems from different instruments, and you can also dump the MIDI file. So then you could take that MIDI file, line it up with the bass part or the bass drum. So like Garageband does automatically sometimes if you use the drummer, and you can line the drummer up with the bass, because I'm not a drummer, and I'll be the first to admit. I mean, and I'm a guitar player that plays bass. I'm not a bass player, but I can get around okay. But I can't do squat on drums. I can't do anything. So I rely upon, and I'm spoiled, and I'm also spoiled with being played and have played with some of the best drummers around. That's what makes it so hard for me to even attempt to play. I mean, I've got a Zildjian kit in the window, and I've got a Roland electric drum kit right behind me here, but I've never turned them on or hit that once. I'm not a drummer.
It's really hard to find a good drummer. It's hard to find a good drummer, And when you got one,
stealing your beer if you find a good one.
Yeah. Treat them good. Carry their gear out for them if you find a good one, and you won't lose them. Make sure you pay them, and then you'll be fine. Anything else? Apps we should check out that you like?
The one you've been working on here the other day, Scalar. My goodness.
Oh my, yes, it's pretty.
I'll tell you what. Well, what I tell you, it's a music app put together by mathematicians. Because some of those extended harmony chords that you can stack, thirds, they're not real practical in a musical setting unless you want to hit some hardcore jazz or what. But they're just neat as hell that they're available and out there. I mean, you can do so much with it. I don't even know where to start, Jade. It's almost scary to me as a musician.
I knew you'd love it.
Knows what some of this stuff is.
Yeah, I knew it'd be up your street because you just rattle chords off like at the drop of a hat. So something like this is your wheelhouse. So it's super impressive. If this is where we're heading for the future of iOS, to be able to have this kind of level of app, I think we're in pretty good hands. We just got to make sure they fix Safari's browser for microphones.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
It would be a good start.
Yeah. Just the simple stuff first.
Well, and I don't know if you've spoken of the irony of all this. We couldn't get my fifth generation 12-inch iPad to work.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, for the interview, we tried to use the latest iPad with a USB-C adapter with headphones, and it just wouldn't work for this interview. It refused to acknowledge the headphones. It was the wildest thing. I thought it was my end, and I'm like, no, it can't be. So, there's something weird, man. It's interesting with iOS devices because they're all not the same. They're not the same. I've had iOS devices that worked perfect with headphones and certain things, but then I load the same app or something on it on a different device, and it doesn't work the same. It's electronics, It's even though they're made in factories with mostly Asian people being underpaid on a process line, they're not always going to turn out exactly the same. Like most products, Apple aren't perfect, and if you think they are, you're wrong. So let's talk about to finish up. We've covered at least a few apps there. So the store's opening soon. I'm going to bring the Facebook page up again so people can make sure they know what it's called. The Note. Where are we? There we go. So the store is opening soon. How excited are you to actually? Where do you want to see the store? Like overall, and where do you see the store in a couple of years' time? Do you have a vision?
In a couple of years?
Yeah. Hang on. Your mic's gone again, so we'll fix that just so we make sure we get clear. Where do you see it in a couple of years' time?
Well, my goal is to kind of light a fire under the local musicians' rear ends to try to find a spot to congregate and make music, live music. Not because we've done so much of this remote thing. It's amazing when you get 4 or 5 people in one room and all making music together. I mean, there's an aesthetic there that you can't replace with.
Yep.
Trying to pick up somebody else's time, you know what I mean? I've tried to play with people over streaming, and yeah, it leaves something to be desired. I mean, there's nothing like real time. There's nothing like feeling the vibrations of a bass in your body, whereas with cans, you don't get that. I'd like to fill up with students, but not have too many. I don't want too many students. I want to be able to service those that I have to the best of my ability, whereas I don't want to stack them and make it seem like it's just I'm going through the motions, because that's not how I teach. I take every student differently. Like Monday, I have a lady with bringing in 5-year-old twins, and she wants me to get those two going on something, twin boys.
Awesome.
Just to get them started to make music together.
Yeah.
Oh, what a better building block. And I've got an 86-year-old student coming tomorrow at 1. I just want it to be a friendly place that anybody can feel good, walk in, and just be a part of it. Because everybody's got a story, and I'm more than willing to listen. And another amazing thing about music is there's stuff coming out of the woodwork around here. There's a long, rich history of music in this town. I mean, just to drop a couple names, Virgil Fox was a concert organist back when that was cool. Richard Whitmart, I'm sure you've heard of him. He was born and raised. He went to high school with my grandpa. He's an old cowboy movie star. He's long gone. Kathleen Hayes, she was the longest running member of one of those soap operas. Keith Knutson, the drummer of the Doobie Brothers, was my uncle's roommate in college. And this is my uncle's claim to fame. When Keith was going to drop out of college and move to California, before he picked up the Doobie Brothers gig, my uncle told him that he would never amount to anything if he dropped out of college. That's my uncle's claim to fame. Yeah. These are true stories. But yeah, I just want. Well, I need to back up. I'm big on family. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my daughter and my mother, my father who's passed. he was always a proponent of my music. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he didn't necessarily feel bad that I didn't take music and came to work for him, because that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was the best thing I could have done. I mean, I was lucky enough to work with my dad for my whole life, basically, or his whole life, or my, where we crossed, where we could, and mom for having this vision in this building, and what she did here for years. And I already said my daughter 15 times, but anyway, my daughter just graduated college with a double biology degree. I had her singing Mozart arias at like 4 and 5 years old, and the Marriage of Figaro. She was just nailing those, but she just never really. I never pushed music on her. And now, here lately, she's come back to me and said, "Man, I wish maybe you would have pushed it a little harder." No. That's the biggest mistake I think parents make, is push their kids. You got to make it fun.
Yeah, she's got her skill. She's got a skill set.
For sure.
She's a clever cookie. And look, it's a great way to end here today, because we have to wrap up, because Pete's up next. And I know how important your daughter is to you, and I hope she gets to see this, because we get to hear a lot about you. You're damn proud about your daughter, and so you should be. She's amazing. So, and we've already talked about this song we're going to play. So the following Sunday, we're going to play this. But I'm going to hit you with the last question, and it's a real tough one. You may have heard this one before. If someone was considering becoming creative, Bubba, where would you suggest that they start?
Pots and pans in the kitchen, rubber bands on a cigar box. Any way you can make sound and rhythm, and sing. I mean, and don't ever let anybody tell you that they can't do music. The only people that can't do music, and which is obviously a lie, is somebody who has a hearing problem. But look at Beethoven. So don't take excuses from anybody. They just never applied themselves. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
Or they never had anybody like me building bridges between islands of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what teaching is to me. Because everybody's got skills, and they just need to figure out how to connect them all together.
You want to fix your mic one last time, and then we're good. Thank you, L'Reality. Thanks to all the mods here today, as usual, for posting links. There's a link for you, Ed Zielinski. There's links down below in the description to find all of Bubba's music. So go over to SoundCloud, subscribe to him, hit like, go listen to a whole bunch of his music. It's fantastic. And check out his store. Go like his store. Get some numbers on his store over on Facebook. Get some numbers there. Let's help him get the business off the ground. I want to thank you personally, Bubba, for your friendship first, and for everything you've given me, and to help get this channel off the ground, your support of what I do. I value it so much. I love you so much, my friend. You are an inspiration to me. I'm so glad you're damn here still. You're an incredible fighter, and it's just amazing to see what you've achieved in such a short time with this new venture. So thank you, and thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me, Jade. I love you. I love you.
All my pleasure. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you all for being here as well. And thank you for supporting the channel. You are fantastic as well. And remember, so we're going to jump over here. This is the track we're playing now. We already know this is about your beautiful daughter. And this is called The Following Sunday. And as I always say, remember, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. And we'll all rise together, And we'll go out with this track and see you over at Pete Johns' channel. Stay on the line with me, Bubba, so I can say hello once the show's ended. Say goodbye once the show's ended. And we'll see you again soon, yeah? Alrighty. Take care and bye-bye for now. Maybe I'll get the music happening. There we go.